62 of 64 matches have been decided, and that leaves just our third place game and our final to decide who will become just the fifth ever winner of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Guys, Matty G. Beck here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us as always. And let's get to our final two predictions for this 2023 edition. The game no one ever wants to play, and it's a third place match in a World Cup competition. But here, Sweden and Australia find themselves facing one another. This is the fourth time for Sweden in this competition that they've played in a third place match. Meanwhile, for Australia, their first time ever making history with their first ever semifinal appearance. Now they've got an opportunity to get on the podium and finish with a bronze medal. Of course, again, like we said, no team wants to be here, but hopefully both will come out firing on all cylinders, looking to get after each other, playing just as hard in the seventh game as they did the first six. For Sweden, again, it was an incredible run, especially when you consider the obstacles that they had to overcome during the knockout stages, getting past the United States in an unbelievably dramatic penalty shootout, and then to go up against Japan, take it right to them, especially considering a lot of people, including myself, felt like Japan at that point might be the favorites for the rest of the competition. But Sweden proved everyone wrong once again. And then to go down to Spain late in that game to tie it. And unfortunately, Musovic just couldn't get her hand enough to that ball as it hits the crossbar and goes in for the game winner. Again, it was just a great tournament for these ladies all the way around. I know they're gutted to be in this position, but hopefully for Rolfo, Blackstenius, and others, they'll have one good last push here and look to hopefully make another third place finish out of this competition, even though obviously they don't want to be here. As for Australia, another incredible run. It felt like we could possibly see these co-hosts go out in the group stage after that loss to Nigeria, but they battled back strongly against Canada, moved their way onto the knockout stages, had some great results. The longest ever penalty shootout against France, and unfortunately just didn't have enough there against England today to get the job done to make it to a final. But again, we talked before this tournament started, if they could get to a semifinal, that would still be in a historic run for this side, their federation, and their fans. So hopefully for Australia, their fans will have one good last push for them, one sense of celebration and appreciation for them and everything that they've accomplished in this World Cup, and send them off the right way with some great lasting memories for a lifetime. Just as we talked how hard it was to predict those semifinal games, it's certainly still the case here in this third place match. Hopefully we'll see both sides really going after each other, putting a lot of numbers forward. Obviously look to see Sweden probably be physical once again, try and take control of this game early on, set the tone, hopefully try and take advantage of set pieces and corners and things like that, and probably going to come out with a lot of anger, hopefully in an appropriate manner, obviously just trying to be physical in the right way, but just frustrated that they're having to play in this game and not the one that they wanted to. As for Australia, got to believe that they're going to continue to look to counterattack when possible, especially if Sweden get those two holding center mids higher up the field along with their outside backs and try and really overload in the wide areas, or at least just push numbers forward high enough to try and suffocate Australia in their own half. Definitely know Mary Fowler, Sam Kerr, Ford, Russo, etc., Catley, all of them are going to try and get forward and look to counter on the break as much as they possibly can. So hopefully we're going to see an open game with a lot of goals, a lot of great opportunities going back and forth, and see another very high intensity atmosphere in terms of just the crowd getting behind their girls, showing their support one last time in this competition. Again, Sweden have done this 3 separate times, so to be honest, I really don't know how their fans are going to feel about this game, whether they really want that fourth, bronze medal, if you will, or if they really even care at this point, just knowing how disappointing it is that they didn't get to a final. But as for Australia, this is a great opportunity to still finish with a historic run and get on a podium, like we said earlier. And that's why I've got Australia winning this third place match. I just think it's going to mean a little bit more to them. I think they're going to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more in tune with the match, trying to create opportunities. Not that Sweden isn't. I just think that Australia might mean a bit more to them, having known that they've never been in this position before, and just an opportunity to take one position higher in a World Cup in terms of just history down the road looking forward. So that's why I've got Australia winning the third place match. And now for the game that matters more than them all. It's Spain versus England in the World Cup final. First time being in the final for both of these sides. Remember, this is just the third appearance ever in a World Cup for Spain. As for England, third straight semifinal. They finally get over the hump here against Australia, and certainly both of these sides are very deserving of facing this opportunity and getting a chance to become just the fifth ever winner of the Women's World Cup. Last time these two played was last summer during the quarterfinal of the Euros. Spain went on to take the lead in that game. That was actually the first time England had conceded so far up to that point. Great goal from Esther Gonzalez in the 54th minute, but Ella Toone equalizes in the 84th. A great chance as Millie Bright, I believe, heads a ball back to her just inside the 6-yard box to tie the game up. And then Georgia Stanway, with a bullet from just outside the 18, scores to get the game winner. And it's a 2-1 win as England go on to win the Euros with that game from the quarterfinals. But again, in that game, Spain outshoot England 17-10, have around 58% possession. I certainly feel like statistically wise, we might see a game pretty similar. But as for the result, still very tough to tell. Again, this game is such a toss-up. Again, both of these sides very, very deserving. Certainly coming from different paths as well to get to this point. But again, a great opportunity for both to finally write some history for the first time ever. Now for how these two might line up against one another. Of course, it looks like Spain probably will stick with that 4-3-3 that we've been so accustomed to. As for England, maybe a bit of a switch up with their 3-5-2. As you can see, the midfield looking a bit different rather than having more of that central midfielder as a 10, possibly having Kira Walsh kind of sit back as maybe a number 6 in the middle of those 5. Ella Toone started to the left of her. Again, she's been the replacement for Lauren James the last couple of games, so we'll have to wait and see how Serena likes to line them up. If she brings Lauren back in to start or if she keeps Ella out there. Remember, Ella is more than capable of filling that role. She scored the first goal against Australia. She had the first goal in the Euro final last summer, the great chip against Germany. So again, she definitely could continue to fill that role if she feels like maybe Lauren James should come off the bench to start this final. We'll have to wait and see. Again, I feel like both teams have a couple of really solid subs. You look at Chloe Kelly and Beth England for the Lionesses, and then of course the super sub for Salma, who's come in and scored a couple of fantastic goals for Spain to keep them, to get them to this point. Again, I think both sides have a couple of really good opportunities at their disposal to bring in later on in the second half or maybe into extra time if need be. As for how this game might unfold, I really feel like, again, the first 5 minutes are going to be very important for both sides. They're going to come out, playing physical, getting after each other, really trying to establish control and possession of this game. Both of these teams like to keep the ball a good majority of the time. However, I do feel like Spain might get the nod just a bit in that category. Again, maybe something a little bit similar to how we saw that game unfold last summer between these two. I just feel like Spain is just going to be able to control that part of the game a little bit more, or at least maybe slow it down in terms of being able to keep the ball and look to develop their attack more from the back and through the midfield going forward. Again, we could see England come out and press really well, be physical, create turnovers, and establish more possession themselves. But for right now, I'm just feeling like Spain might be able to do that a bit more. As for England, definitely feel like they got to capitalize on set pieces. Certainly, again, they're scrappy with their chances in the box. It doesn't have to be pretty all the time. However, again, like we've seen with the men's side and with this women's team as well, definitely feel like they might have a trick or two up their sleeve in terms of set pieces, corners, etc., what they might bring out if the right opportunity presents itself. As for Spain, as you can tell, if they line up that midfield the way it looks like they might, there's a lot of space there on the wings, near the touchline, near the half spaces, and opportunities to exploit that space out wide and get to the end line and look to cut inside. If you haven't seen their goal that they scored against England in the quarterfinal last year, go take a look at it. Very similar. Got that ball out on the right wing, great cut inside. They find Esther Gonzalez in the middle, right on top of the 6, I believe, and she takes a great touch and finishes that ball. So again, I think that's where Spain can be very clinical. There's a lot of space there, especially if that midfield 5 of England is higher up the pitch. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But again, definitely feel like this game could go into extra time. I'll be totally honest, I kind of hope it does, just that way we get to see an extra 30 minutes of this tournament before it comes to an end. I'm not 100% sure I want to see penalties, but if it comes down to that, I won't be upset either. Again, we saw a dramatic shootout between France and Argentina in the men's final back in November, so if it happens again this time around for the women, that's fine too. But in terms of predictions, guys, I'm going to go with England 2-1 over Spain. I just think that, again, this game's going to go back and forth, really tugging on both of each other, trying to establish tempo, possession, and just control of the ball and their opportunities. And I feel like that it's hard to tell who's going to score first, but I feel like we're going to see this game go 1-1 late, whether it's in normal time or extra time, and then England's just going to pull one out. Again, like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. It might be just a scrappy goal off a set piece or a cross or something like that, but they're just going to be able to finish maybe just one extra chance than Spain. So, again, for right now, I've got England winning, beating Spain 2-1 to collect their first ever Women's World Cup title. Well, there you have it, guys. One last look at the bracket. It's been an unbelievable tournament to watch unfold and to predict these games and see all the outcomes and just great storylines as well. Personally, for me, I definitely feel like this is the best Women's World Cup that we've seen to date. And hopefully we'll see a great third place match with a lot of goals there between Sweden and Australia. But for right now, guys, I've got to nod my head, like I said, to England to get the job done. 2-1 over Spain to be just the fifth ever Women's World Cup champion. Guys, let me know down in the comments your own predictions as well as score lines or any other in-depth analysis you want to give. We certainly appreciate seeing that and interacting with you as well. So let me know down there, because again, we've only got 2 games left here at the end of the week, and then we are wrapped up in terms of World Cup action for quite a while. Guys, can't thank you enough for tuning in. Really hope you enjoyed this series of videos as we watched this tournament unfold and made our predictions together. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button as well if you haven't already done so, as we are on our way to our first 1,000 subs. And again, there's plenty more content to come your way. Even though the Women's World Cup finishes later this week, there is still plenty to talk about, plenty of predictions to make, and plenty to keep in mind as the international game continues to move forward through the end of 2023 and into 2024. So make sure you stick around to enjoy all that content with us as well. But until next time, guys, have a blessed day. See you soon.